Assalamu alaikum. Peace and blessings, everybody. What is going on? How are you all doing on this beautiful Sunday evening for me? And it obviously could be morning time or afternoon time for you, whatever time of day it is. Like I always say, I hope that you are doing phenomenal. Welcome, welcome. My name is Miss Sasha, and you are about to be a part of a fabulous read aloud experience. That's right. And to introduce and reintroduce myself, again, my name is Miss Sasha, as you all see at the bottom of the screen, and I'm the founder and executive director of ABC Read. ABC Read is a nonprofit organization that I started over 10 years ago with a mission to develop and nurture a culture of literacy in Black and underserved communities. And how do we do this? Well, we started off with promoting reading aloud. That's one of the things that we are definitely known for, making sure that we are providing engaging read alouds. We also provide books that are new or gently used, books that majority represents Black people, culture, experiences, traditions. And we also provide literacy events. All right, we like to call them reading experiences because they are filled with lots of literacy activities, games, having connections, intergenerational connections. So, our reading experiences, we have folks from our little babies to our seasoned community. We also make sure that we provide healthy snacks, all right, because we understand the more healthier foods that we put into our bodies, it's going to also help our brains be able to not only gain the knowledge, but retain the knowledge that we are receiving when we are reading. Why is all of this important? Well, because I started this organization because of the fact that we have lots of illiteracy that has been just permeating through our Black and underserved communities here throughout the city of Cleveland, where I am from. And so I said, you know what? I want to be a part of the solution instead of just continuously complaining about these issues. And and next thing you know, bam, here we are. Like I said, over 10 years later, and we have given out over 8,000 books. We have had consistently reading events. We've also added book clubs as well that we've had for the adults. And inshallah, God willing, we are going to have our very first book club for the youth as well. And we also added a literacy workshop, which is for our parents and caregivers so they can learn how to nurture that culture of literacy in their homes so they can be empowered. So I wanted to get all of that in about 3 minutes, and I just basically got over the 3 minute mark. And now I am ready to read this book for today. All right. Teach Me About Malcolm, y'all, by James Wilson Jr. Artwork by Idawu Abayami. This book was chosen because guess what tomorrow is? It would have been the 100th birthday of our beloved ancestor, El Hajj Malik El Shabazz, aka Malcolm X. All right, so his centennial birth, 100 years, okay, because he was born May 19th, 1925. And you talk about a man who was already nurtured in loving his Black culture, loving who he is and where he's from by his parents, Earl Little and Louise Little. So he was breastfed on being that growing into that man that we all know and remember, who is proud of his culture, proud of who he is. And he took those setbacks that he had experienced in his life, and he truly made them into comebacks. So, and our children need to know his name. They should know his name before any of those other names that our kids are inundated with in schools where they are being taught that folks who do not look like them, that those are the heroes that we should revere and we should know about and all of that type of stuff. No, this is who they should know about first. Okay. So, with that being said, let's dive right on in. I love this book, by the way. This brother, James Wilson Jr., he did that. He did that, okay? And the artwork, y'all, come on, y'all already know what it is. Y'all see for yourselves, okay? All right, let's get on into it. Teach me about Malcolm X, dear teacher. Would you mind? That bold, brilliant Malcolm X was truly one of a kind. When Martin Luther King had a dream and went to the mountaintop, Malcolm X taught Black people that revolution was how to make our problems stop. He was born Malcolm Little to Earl and Louise in 1925. Omaha, Nebraska would be the place where baby Malcolm would arrive. While Malcolm was a boy, he would learn about Marcus Garvey. Mr. Garvey was a mighty man who fought to make all African people free. Malcolm's parents were great helpers in Marcus Garvey's organization. It was named the Universal Negro Improvement Association. Malcolm would use Garvey's lessons later in life when he would lead a movement of his own. But things would happen first in Malcolm's life that shook him to the bone. Earl Little, Malcolm's father, was killed while Malcolm was a child. This brought grief to the Little family and made it hard for them to smile. After his father's death, Louise Little, Malcolm's mother, became sick. Her children were put into foster care as Malcolm's family split. Poor young Malcolm. Times for him had really become sad. But through it all, Malcolm learned that everything was not all bad. Malcolm was a great student, one of the smartest in his class. Malcolm learned from reading, writing, and the many questions he would ask. Why wouldn't you know? Malcolm had some most eventful times. He tried boxing and moved in with his sister, but would turn to a life of crime. Malcolm got into trouble and went to prison while he was just a young man. This would be the place where Malcolm's old ways died and his new life soon began. Malcolm learned every word in the dictionary, which was quite amazing. This helped Malcolm learn faster and become better at communicating. While Malcolm spent time behind the prison walls, something very special came from it. This would be when Malcolm would accept the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Leader of the Nation of Islam, whose followers called him the messenger. Elijah Muhammad sought to build a nation, and Malcolm would soon be his helper. Elijah Muhammad gave Malcolm his newfound religious faith called Islam. Those who practice Islam are called Muslims, and their book of scriptures is the Holy Quran. Elijah's teachings taught Malcolm discipline. Do you know what that means? It means doing the right thing, even when no one is looking. Minister Muhammad taught Malcolm that his name was an enslaved name. The names we have today were forced on our ancestors. What a shame. 'Twas then Malcolm abandoned the last name given to him at birth. He replaced little with the X and redeemed some self worth. Malcolm X changed his name again after his prison time would pass. In the Muslim world, Malcolm used the name Malik el Shabazz. After Malcolm X left prison, he became a powerful speaker. As Elijah Muhammad's minister, he would spread the messages of his teacher. Malcolm X helped Elijah Muhammad grow the Nation of Islam, a most thrilling Black group. The Nation of Islam was made up of Black Muslims and their protectors called the Fruit. Malcolm X started a newspaper for the Nation of Islam called Muhammad Speaks. The paper helped the Nation of Islam gain new members and spread Elijah's reach. With Elijah Muhammad's teachings, Malcolm X brought healing to the Black woman and man. He turned Black people away from drugs and alcohol, making them well again. Malcolm X preached to never eat meat from the hog. Elijah Muhammad taught Malcolm that the pig was part rat, cat, and dog. Malcolm X taught us to call fellow Black people sisters and brothers. He showed us that we were one African family and that we must love one another. Elijah Muhammad sent Malcolm X overseas to spread goodwill from the Nation of Islam. Malcolm traveled from the Middle East to Africa as he brought peace and calm. The world was a scary place for Black people when Malcolm was alive. White people made it hard for Black people everywhere to live in peace and strive. Bad things were happening to Black people in America and around the world. White men of the KKK once bombed a church, killing 4 little Black girls. White police officers beat Black people with nightsticks and let their police dogs chew us up. White firefighters turned their hoses on Black women and children as some walked to catch the bus. Malcolm X knew that these bad things would continue to happen until we faced our enemy. Malcolm X believed in an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. Don't turn the other cheek. Brother Malcolm won the hearts and minds of Black people from the words that he would say. Malcolm X was especially admired by the great boxer, Cassius Clay. Cassius loved Malcolm X's speeches. Why, he most certainly agreed. So he joined the Nation of Islam and changed his name to Muhammad Ali. During this time, Malcolm X would see more somber days. Malcolm would disagree with Elijah Muhammad and would go on his separate way. Malcolm X was hurt. Elijah Muhammad was like his father. But Malcolm knew that distractions on his journey could not become a bother. Malcolm was on a serious mission to make sure all Black people were treated right. He took a trip back to Africa to tell our family about our plight. Malcolm was uniting African people in different places in front of the world to see. Malcolm was going back to the lessons that he learned about Marcus Garvey. Just like Garvey, Malcolm called on the help of African people around the planet to make Africa strong so that we would never again be taken for granted. Our people in Africa loved Malcolm X. They gave him much praise. Malcolm X was so loved in Africa that they gave him a new name. Omawali would be the new name that Malcolm X would earn. Omawali means the long lost African son who has finally returned. Malcolm X came back to the United States and started a new group. It was named the Organization of Afro American Unity, or the OAAU. But one sad day would bring Malcolm's journey to an end. On February 21st, 1965, Malcolm was killed in front of his family and friends. Even though Malcolm's life on earth was over, his work continued to move forward. His deeds gave birth to new leaders and thinkers. On to freedom, they moved toward. The Black Panther Party was formed a year after Malcolm X was killed. The founders, inspired by Malcolm X, were Huey Newton and Bobby Seale. Malcolm X even taught the current leader of the Nation of Islam. This man marched 1 million Black men to DC. His name is Louis Farrakhan. Malcolm X was our hero, a real diamond in the rough. Malcolm X helped Black people find courage even when the times were tough. Dear Black boys and girls, Malcolm's life was an example just for you. Malcolm used his mind to change the world, which means that you can too. So the next time you hear Brother Malcolm's name, make sure you stop and smile because Malcolm X gave his life to free every Black man, woman, and child. The end. And then at the back of the book, as you all see, if you all can see, there are the important dates right here. So it's like the timeline of his birth. And then, of course, going through, the devastating time that occurred in their family when his father was unalived. And, as all the different things that they talked about in the book. Well, I appreciate this book so much because the author did an excellent job of putting Malcolm's life in a poetic form. So this book actually, you could read it to, I'm like, listen, read to all the ages, okay? But definitely, especially like the 3-year-olds, because we should definitely be reading rhymes to them because that is going to be one of the ways, key parts of them being able to learn how to read. That's why the rhyming words, the nursery rhymes are excellent. And as you know, as you all heard with this book, it was written in a rhyme form. And then again, the pictures are just so captivating, aren't they? They're just amazing, absolutely amazing. And one of the things that I had took notice of is, how, because again, I've read this book multiple times, which by the way, there's nothing wrong with, especially when you're doing read alouds. It's actually good. It's recommended, especially if you have a child who they are interested in a book and they want to keep reading that book. They want to keep hearing that book. Please, by all means, do so, because through their repetition, it's going to help them be able to gain more to understanding of the book. They're going to be able to now learn more vocabulary words, being able to hear how to pronounce the words correctly. Okay. Also, they are even, and as you all understand with reading aloud, one of the benefits of reading aloud too is they get to hear the fluency. And fluency is not just you reading the words, but also reading them with expression. Because when we're reading them with expression, now we're demonstrating that we are understanding what it was that how the author was intending to write the particular book. So there was a line in there where it was an exclamation point. When you're reading with expression, now you're going to say it as if it has the exclamation point at the end of the word. So whether it was supposed to be excitement, anger, or getting somebody's attention, now your children are learning that. Now, again, they're learning how the punctuations work, right? So those are just some of the just beautiful things that happens when you are reading these books aloud. But I wanted to draw you all's attention to something. And it just made me think about how our babies, we have to be intentional about making sure that we create a culture, not just of literacy, but a connection of positivity to literacy and to reading, because a lot of our young kids, they don't look at reading as something that's exciting or something they look forward to. A lot of our kids look at it like, get that book away from me. Why are you talking about reading? I'm getting sick and tired, because reading has always been linked to them taking a test, something they have to study for. And then how many times have you seen a book like this in a classroom? You're not. You're not. And even when our kids do learn about Malcolm X, first of all, a lot of times they're not going to learn about him when they are like in elementary school. They try to reserve that for later on, maybe middle school, high school. And then when he's talked about, it's always this, well, he was a radical, right? He hated white people, so they try to come with all of that stuff. So then it's like, the kids are kind of confused, like what? And if you as the parent then prepare them and teach them about Malcolm X, and that's their first time learning about him, now they're like, they're kind of confused. They're like, wait a minute, okay, he hated white people. What's going on? So again, make sure you do your due diligence as that parent, that caregiver, and you educate your child on Malcolm X, Marcus Garvey, right? You're learning about those other names. But just drawing your attention to this, right? You see that beautiful smile, right? And literally it hit my heart. And I said, you know what? Here it is. You have this young boy being raised by his parents. His mother taught them how to read, promoter of education. His father was an excellent orator. He even would go to the churches and different places where his father would speak, talking about how Black people need to be self-sufficient, self-determination. So he grew up in that particular environment. His mother actually had them have their own little plots of vegetables that they would grow. So he was getting all that nurturing, right? Until the disruption occurred. The disruption of what? Those folks who just hate when we are happy and hate when we are trying to build and mind our own dang on business. And so this beautiful smile that we saw that he had, it wound up being changed to not only a frown, but, just being upset, frustrated, mad, angry. And that's why, again, why I am a promoter of us making sure that we are implementing the read alouds. We are bringing that positivity, that culture of connection through literacy, through reading books. Now we're having conversations. Now your children are asking, who was this? What does that mean? What's the Quran? What does that word mean? Why does he look like that? Why? So that's how we get the engagement going. That's how now they get to go down this rabbit hole. And now they are learning more and more about, again, referencing Malcolm X or whatever subject that you are reading about. All right. So I know I went a little bit longer, but that's okay. Because again, like I said, I wanted to promote our dear ancestor who we need to be remembering. His birthday again is tomorrow. And he was somebody who was a promoter. He was about reading. He was like, listen, read, study. And it didn't start when he was in jail. It started at home with his mother, Louise Little. She reading newspapers to them, reading different things to them, to her children. That cultivation of literacy, of reading and understanding how that was going to lead you to be empowered. Now can't nobody stop you from doing what you need to do. That's why they were about education. That was why they were about, we are going to build and be self-determined. So that being said, thank you all again for listening. As you all see the ticker on the bottom, please go to ABC Read, the number 1, to make your donation so that we can continue to get these types of books in the hands of our communities. Because we don't just give out books just to say we gave out books. We give out books that are creating a feeling in people of empowerment, of love, of literacy, of love, of culture, self-determination, because they're seeing themselves reflected, they're learning, they're building, and now we're having all of these conversations, these dialogues about the different things that we are reading in these books. So please go ahead and make your donations. We truly appreciate it. We also have Zelle now. I'm going to put that when I share the video. I will go ahead and put that in the comment section, how you can donate to us through Zelle as well. You can go to our website, abcread.org, abcread.org. And as you all check, you see the mug, that right there, that says Iqra in the Arabic language. And Iqra means read, all right? So this mug right here is one of the many products that I have on my site. Reading is freedomshop.com, all right? Also got the read shirt going on as well. Go ahead, take a look, go ahead and make your purchase, because part of our proceeds go back into the organization ABC Read, all right? So I thank you all for listening, and remember to please keep reading for at least 30 minutes a day. And remember, reading is freedom. Peace.